Thank you for joining us today. We will be conducting our Miracles Directory interview. So, my first question for you is, could you please tell us more about who you are and your personal touching story?
My name is Kirin Loomis, and my specialty as a healing professional and counselor is to work with people in their later years. And one way that I came to this was I'd heard all this stuff about being over 65. And when I got there myself, I really didn't like switching from age 64 to age 65 because all of a sudden I hadn't changed. I was only one day older, but I started feeling all the things everybody said about over 65. And I didn't feel like I was over 65 any more than I had been the week before. So I decided to think of my life as a block of 64 years. And after that, I was going to start my second block of 64 years. And I thought about even getting that as a tattoo because it was so important to me. I'm doing my second 64. I'm not doing over 65. So since then, I've evolved that into a whole specialty because I see so many people around me who are kind of from retirement to the end of life. They see it as kind of all downhill, more aches and more pains, and maybe shortage of money, and maybe they don't know, more worries, more uncertainty. So there's just so many things people do that limit their happiness in that part of their life. And I love helping people see it differently and have a lot more fun and joy in their later years.
That was wonderfully said. So, our next question is, you kind of touched on your story and why you do what you do, but I would like if you could further expand on your educational and training background.
I loved teaching. From the time I was in second grade, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And as I matured, what I wanted to teach kept changing. I became a French teacher and a German teacher. And then after I had worked with teenagers for a long time, I decided I'd prefer to work with adults because maybe I was maturing into that, and became a counselor and a teacher of adults with the overarching theme of happiness, how to become a happier person. And I think somewhere deep within us, we all have that as our ultimate goal. We all want to be happy. And there's so many different ways to get there that I developed a counseling practice that involved helping people to look at where they were unhappy, why they were unhappy, and find the reasons underneath and change their perspectives about what was happening to them so that they could look at things differently. A lot of times two people have the very same experience and they'll react differently. Why? Not because the experience was different, but because you could call it a filter. They had a filter in place or a certain perspective that led them either toward being more worried and scared or else toward more comfortable and secure and happy. And it's really an inside job. So I helped people to find that.
That was great. So our next question is, you mentioned a lot of unique things that you do, but could you tell us what you think makes you unique and sets you apart from the rest?
Many of the things I've learned over the years will show me how important attitude is. So when I work with clients, first thing and overarching thing throughout our work together is to be loving and non-judgmental, accepting of them, whoever, wherever, whatever they are and whatever they've done. And that attitude, and for me, not to direct what they should do. I'm not telling them, I'm not giving advice. I'm not saying should do this, should do. I help them explore and discover within them and also what's possible outside of them. So that attitude, I think so much of counseling includes either labeling certain behaviors or a certain attitude of, I know more than you know, or I know what you should do better than you do. And that is not part of my beliefs at all. I think everybody has their own path, and I can guide and support and encourage and give ideas to help them see the next steps, but I don't decide for them what they should do.
So we're going to switch over to more about your clients. So What are the most common conditions that you experience from your clients?
I would say the biggest thing is fear, and it comes in so many different shapes and sizes. People have been taught to be fearful from childhood on. You have to do this or that bad thing will happen. And when people get to their later years, which is now my specialty, uh, many of them create worries. I know that I love that old saying that worry is using your imagination to create things you don't want. And it really is. So many of the things people worry about never happen, but it really messes up today if you're worried about next week. And so, why not have a good day today and then see what happens? So, I try to help people change from worrying to wondering. I'm worried about what's going to happen next week, versus I wonder what's going to happen next week. And when they get to that place of just wondering about it, then we can talk about it and we can look at where they actually have some control in steering what's going to happen next week, but from a place of comfort and curiosity and exploring.
Our next question is then, could you please share 3 tips or processes that you take your clients through?
So, one tip I like to get to is really looking at themselves, rather than it's all about how you respond to what's happening rather than about what's happening. So once you turn it inward and start looking at yourself, then you can change from worrying to wondering about things. You can sort out which things are in your control and which things are not in your control. And part of it's just about accepting people and trusting that they're going to continue to act the way they've always acted, pretty much, rather than keep hoping they'll change. You might as well settle into them being the way they are and learn to appreciate it. We also look a lot at perspective. So we'll take this thing that's bothering them, whatever it might be, and look at how they feel about that thing. Once again, it's turning inward. Look at how they feel about this thing that's happening, and then go deeper. Why? Why are they feeling that way? And is that part a place where they can make some changes? Like, one big one that comes up a lot is, it shouldn't be this way. Well, that leads to frustration because obviously it is this way, whatever the thing is. And so if we can say, well, it could be for my highest good. I just can't see that far ahead yet to know how that's going to be good for me. But to start looking for what's good about it, instead of saying, oh, this shouldn't be happening, or oh, this is terrible, or I shouldn't have to do this, to help people move beyond those beliefs that create a lot of frustration and just settle into things being the way they are. I'll give you an example. I right now have a sore foot, and I didn't plan on having a sore foot. It wasn't part of my plan at all, but it is affecting how I'm walking. And so I went to the doctor, I got her opinions, and now I might have a sore foot for the rest of my life. I don't know yet, but I can make that the focus of my life and be miserable. I can say, okay, I'm going to have to walk a little differently, and here we go. I'm still going to walk. So it's that kind of shifting that can lead to feeling a lot happier with your experiences, whatever they are.
So, our first question for you is, what brought you to the Miracles Directory?
Mm. A mutual friend introduced me to Lynn, and I had an interview with her about the Miracles Directory. And I was so impressed from the very beginning at the high quality of her integrity, her dedication to making the world a better place, to taking action using all the skills she has accumulated and really using them in the world in a focused way to bring greater improvement and joy, not only the people on her team, but through the team to bring that out into the world and make big changes for people. So it has felt good from the very first time I heard about it all the way to being a part of it. And I see great potential for expansion and growth and bringing joy and happiness to a lot more people. And I like that. That's important to me.
Wonderful. Okay. Our next question is, in what way can you positively impact our Miracles Directory clients?
I think the first thing is to listen non-judgmentally. Whatever is on their mind, whatever their issue is, if you want to call it that, whatever concerns them, to really listen, really hear it from their perspective. It's not, well, I wouldn't do it that way. And it's not, well, have you thought about this or this? But to really hear them, to listen non-judgmentally and caringly, like I care about this person and I care that they have this issue and I care that they want to do their life better. So I'm there to support and encourage them as they explore how to do that.
What is your commitment message to everyone?
My commitment to you as you become my client or my colleague is to show up 100%, to be my very best, most present, caring self, to acknowledge that we are all here on this planet doing the best that we can, and that we can make each other's lives so much better by being supportive, encouraging, listening well, excuse me, being non-directive, really, not telling them what to do, but supporting their finding of solutions, and to show up and be dependable and trustworthy.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. That does bring us to the end of our interview.